Longtime veteran police lieutenant died is a nightmare for anyone searching for the killers, whatever the search now entails. We can tell you this: there are heavy woods, a swamp, abandoned buildings, railroad tracks, you name it. Officials running the search for these suspects say all three of them could very well be in another state by now. Ron Martinelli is a forensic criminologist, former street cop and detective and educator. So Ron, I think the question for you is this. Perhaps the best news in all of this is that these three fugitives had no chance to pre-plan, had no efforts in the offings to help them get through what they're going through, and that has got to be a major help to the police, who seemingly have nothing else to go on.
Yeah, I would agree, Ashley. This looks like a spontaneous crime that was precipitated after a foot pursuit by Officer Glenwitz. The problem here is that the suspects apparently have gotten outside of the perimeter of the containment search area, and so now the investigation takes on a different paradigm. We don't have the suspects at the scene, so we need to be looking at some of these things. In the search within the crime scene, the first thing we have to establish was the officer shot with his own gun, or was he shot with a gun that the suspects might have? Fairly easy to determine this, even though neither gun is at the crime scene. The cartridges, if it's the officer's gun, the cartridges are going to be the same types of cartridges that the police officers use in that department. And that's fairly easy to determine. So if they're not those cartridges, then we're talking about an outside gun.
And then you're talking about chasing three ghosts with an outside ghost gun. But there is this one notion, and that is that at least one of them murdered a police officer and maybe two others did not. Does that not tell you that there will be some dissension in their ranks, and that may also aid law enforcement to find them?
I think so. What we have to determine is issues of proprietary interest. What this means is the way the crime scene's manipulated, something that the suspects may have left at the crime scene or taken from the crime scene. My understanding is they took some of the officer's equipment besides his handgun, which is unusual. Whoever shot the officer, I would agree with you, there's going to be some dissension in the ranks. I think law enforcement will eventually find these people. Of course, they're going over forensically the video. Even though it's poor quality, the officers do have labs where they can enhance it. I know we do in my firm.
Ask you something, and it occurred to me, when a child goes missing, those first few moments and hours are critical. When you're looking for fugitives, is that the same situation? And with that in mind, is a small community like Fox Lake and its, I'm guessing, small force equipped to put the kind of resources that you need to put right away to do the best work at the very first moment?
You know, those are good questions. First of all, I think we all understand that the officers are behind the curve here in their investigation because they're reacting to an officer down. This isn't the same type of search as we look for with a child, because we expect to find the child. We're looking for persons that are trying to evade us. So that's a completely different issue. But I believe that, and by the way, they're using a multi-agency approach here, which is the only way you can do it, because a small town like Fox Lake is not prepared at all to conduct any type of wide-scale search.
But they certainly do have the resources of the federal government and more that's descended upon them. Ron Martinelli, thank you for your insight. Do appreciate that. I want to ask our viewers to stay with CNN.